The Daily Fail, Carolyn Graham and Thomas Markle should be so much more embarrassed by this entire saga than they actually are. But instead, they're doubling down. They're just embarrassing themselves even more. They don't want to pull away. Their plot to corner Meghan failed epically. And I think they're just trying to do a cleanup job now. So here we have the latest cover of the Daily Fail where Carolyn Graham is saying, "My tears with Meghan's father, I told him, choose her over our friendship." Let's be clear that this is not a friendship at all. This is two people using each other. Carolyn Graham is using Thomas Markle to try and get a story. Thomas Markle is using Carolyn Graham and the Daily Fail to try and get money, and also try to rebuild his image, which is very tarnished already. That's a disaster of his own making when he tried to sell his daughter to the tabloids, despite his daughter and her husband trying to help him. As a journalist, when you get this close to the story and you become the story, you no longer have any journalistic integrity. And mind you, her reasoning for getting close to Thomas Markle had nothing to do with getting information that was in the public interest. It was all about her personal interest and the Daily Fail's interest. And now she's written the most wackadoodle piece in the Daily Fail trying to defend herself. She says, "When I first met Thomas Markle 7 years ago, I never imagined it would spark a friendship that would see me spending this last week by his hospital bed in the Philippines." Now, one of the things that Carolyn Graham does not mention in any of this, and she deliberately ignores, is the last time the Daily Fail published a private letter from Meghan to her father, it was Carolyn Graham that he handed that letter to. That was the reason Meghan and the Daily Fail went to court and Meghan won. She goes on to say, "When we met in the turbulent aftermath of his daughter's wedding to Prince Harry in May 2018, it was in my professional capacity as the US editor for this newspaper, interviewing him about the rift that began when he posed for paparazzi pictures, suffered 2 heart attacks and failed to walk his daughter down the aisle. That sparked an estrangement which sadly continues to this day." Now, what she doesn't mention in that is that Meghan and Harry tried to warn Thomas Markle about getting too close to the tabloids. They tried to help. He did not listen. He was more concerned with using his daughter to get money and clout than being a father. She goes on to say, "As a journalist, I've interviewed hundreds of people over the course of my career. I can count on the fingers of one hand those I've stayed friends with." Well, as a journalist, your subject isn't meant to become a friend. And if they do become a friend, they can no longer be the subject. He sent me a text on Wednesday, December 3rd, telling me he was about to have his leg amputated after being hospitalized following a fall the previous day. I immediately called his son, Thomas Jr., who lives with him in the Philippines, where they had moved at the start of this year. So Thomas Markle texts a journalist at the Daily Fail before his own son and other daughter, Samantha. Before any of his family members, he texts a tabloid writer. Because I'm trying not to call her a journalist because she's not that. He goes on to say, "I was shocked to find that Tom had texted me the news from his hospital bed before telling his son. Thomas Jr. called his dad and immediately rang me back. He really wants you to come. This is bad. Can you come?" So she goes on to say, "My decision to rush to the Philippines would backfire on me spectacularly last week when the full wrath of the Sussexes' powerful PR team was aimed at me. He told me he'd been privately trying to reach Meghan, writing letters to both her and his ex-wife Doria, Meghan's mother." I mean, it sounds to me like they've gone no contact, which is absolutely fine considering all the things that Thomas Markle put them through. But I don't believe that there is no respectable avenue that they could have reached out to Meghan to tell her about her father's condition that did not involve the Daily Mail. She goes on to say, "I feel it is important to set the record straight. I've only ever written stories with Tom's express permission, and he told me he wanted to give an interview to the Mail on Sunday as he sought control of the narrative around his amputation. He's been burned a lot by people on the internet making up stories. He also wanted to reach out one last time to Meghan." He says, "I don't know if she realizes how sick I am and that I might die. I want to do a story because I'm sure there is all sorts of made up ish on the internet." The thing is the second this made news on the Daily Fail, it was being weaponized against Meghan to make her look like a bad daughter. This is what he doesn't seem to understand. He once again contributed to his daughter being bullied. She says, "After last Sunday's story came out, I received a flurry of messages from one of her PR team. I found the tone unnecessarily aggressive and was so concerned I told him I would prefer that he dealt with my editor and the paper's legal team. I had other things to worry about, like looking after Tom, whose life was hanging in the balance." I find that part highly manipulative because, let's be honest, Carolyn Graham does not care about Thomas Markle's health. He had more than enough opportunities to try to make amends with his daughter, and he threw it away. As this commentator on Twitter quite rightly says, journalists are supposed to report. It's a job. They're not supposed to cast themselves in the lead in a freaking toxic soap opera of their own making. Caroline Graham has lost the bloody plot, and so has journalism in this country when it comes to Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. And indeed, just when I think this whole saga, this obsession, this deranged obsession with Meghan cannot get any more toxic or ridiculous, a tabloid comes and does something like this. You have literally never seen anything like it. And honestly, Meghan, girl, you really broke these people in a way that I have never seen anyone do. Truly the real queen of the UK.